What built the muscle keeps the muscle. That is a quote that flies around on the internet, and if you've personally heard that, let me tell you, it is bullshit. Because building muscle is a lot harder than maintaining muscle. Once you've got that muscle, it's a lot easier to maintain than to build new muscle. So because of that, the amount of effort that goes into getting in great shape at first is a lot harder than actually just maintaining it. Because believe it or not, once you've got the results that you're happy with how lean you are or how big you are, whatever it may be, maintaining it is a complete different ball game. It's like cruise control, and I'm going to show you how to maintain it so you don't feel like you always have to do the same level of intensity that you've been doing to get in shape in the first place. Because if you've ever locked in and you've dedicated yourself to getting in shape, you know it isn't easy. Training 5 days a week, push-pull legs, an hour in the gym plus, dieting really hard, super low calories, restricting yourself, feeling really hungry, it's a graft. And then if someone said to you, you've got to do that for the rest of your life, unless you're a competitive bodybuilder, but even then, they only do it for certain periods of the year, you wouldn't want to do it, but you don't have to. And that's the thing, because once you're in shape, staying in shape is much easier. So how do I know this? I know this because in my early 20s, between 21 and 23, I was competing in bodybuilding. I loved it, it was my passion. And I still love it now, but I'll never compete again. But back then, I wanted to compete. I wanted to see how far I could go with it. And at the absolute peak of one of my bodybuilding preps, I was training 6 days per week, roughly about 90 minutes a session. I was doing cardio 2 times a day, 7 days per week, and my calories at the very lowest were around 1600, and also I was taking anabolic steroids as well. Now, if you look at the picture here on the screen, this was me roughly a couple of weeks from competition, and I was around 83 kg. Now, this physique here, what you see, wasn't sustainable long term, but I knew that at the time, and I was completely happy with that, because I know bodybuilding is about looking a certain way for one particular day, which is the show day. You'll never look like that long term, but I knew that. And whilst I loved bodybuilding, I knew I didn't want to do it forever. There was other things in my life that were still important to me alongside bodybuilding. So, for example, I wanted children from a young age, early 20s. I always knew in the future, like in my 30s, like where I am now, and I've got a baby boy coming in the next few months. I wanted children, and for full transparency as well, because I was taking anabolic steroids can mess with your fertility. I've seen guys who haven't been able to have children. It's not a guarantee, but it can reduce the chances. And then I didn't want any long-term health effects from taking anabolic steroids. So that was the reason why I eventually stopped, because even though I still love bodybuilding today, I wasn't willing to compensate the health, the risk of me not having children, and the other things that were important to me in my life, like getting my gym, serving my clients, having energy to serve my clients, because when you're bodybuilding, your energy is absolutely rock bottom. So I don't want to feel like I want to make sure I'm not talking badly about bodybuilding as well, because I think it's a great sport, if you can call it a sport, beauty pageant, whatever you want to call it, and I still love it, but I knew for me at the time, it wasn't going to be a long-term ambition. In the same sense, it's still really important for me to look good and feel good, because I just like it. I think everyone wants to look better. I think when you look better, you feel better in your clothes. And I think when you're looking after yourself, there's this, it's just energizing. You feel fantastic. So even though I've fully stopped taking anabolic steroids now, I've been off them for 6 years completely. I'm completely natural and I've recovered. Managed to have a son as well, who's going to be here in the next few months, like I said. It was still important for me to look good and feel good whilst balancing the other things in my life, like having a family, focusing on business, coaching my clients, having my first home as well that I bought. So why am I telling you this? It's because it's still important for me to look good and feel good, even though I know I will never look like I did at the peak of my bodybuilding, but that's okay. Because now I've got other responsibilities, but I still want to have a physique I'm proud of. So if you look at me on the screen here, this is where I am today. Not as lean as I was on the first picture from bodybuilding, but admittedly, not taking steroids here, was taking steroids before, and I wasn't doing things to the extreme like diet, training, or cardio. In this picture here that you can see that I'm still in good shape, but I'm training less. I'm training around 4 days a week, an hour max per session. I'm not taking gear, like I said. I'm eating a lot more relaxed. I haven't tracked calories for over a year, but I've got good eating habits I've developed over the years. I still eat out every single weekend with Chloe, probably have a meal on the Sunday as well of whatever we want. I'm serving my clients with really good energy, so I'm not feeling drained all the time because I'm eating super low calories. I play squash 1 to 2 times per week, but not from having to burn fat or just do it as cardio, or do it because I enjoy doing it because it's fun. So I've managed to find a way to maintain the results that I've built up previously without the extreme effort that I had to put into beforehand. Because honestly, right now it feels like cruise control, and I want to teach you how you can go in cruise control so you can stay in shape without feeling like it's always a fucking battle to stay in shape, because you shouldn't have to feel like that. It should feel easy at some point once you've got the initial results. So if you're like me and you do want to feel good and you do want to keep your results whilst balancing the other responsibilities in your life, and training and diet not taking away from them other responsibilities, carry on watching this video. I'm going to show you a framework called the Lifestyle Balance Framework that will show you exactly how to achieve this. We've had to do a quick cut because I'm freezing my tits off because my gym's really cold, so I've had to put this on and I've got to use my laptop to show you something. So let's crack on. So I use a framework, like I said, called the Lifestyle Balance Framework, and it allows you to stay in shape without all the effort that was needed to get you in shape initially. So this is how it works. It goes off 2 core principles. Principle number 1, once you're happy with how lean you are and you're happy with the results that you've got, what we want to do is start increasing your food again, because when you are dieting and you get down to a certain body fat percentage, you're going to be on low calories. The thing is, you don't want to eat low calories forever, because you're going to experience side effects like increased hunger, increased cravings, lower sex drive as well, because sometimes men's testosterone will drop if they've been dieting for too long or if the body fat percentage is too low. So sex drive tanks, energy tanks, overall mood, and let's say zest for life goes lower as well. So if you experience any of them, you need to make sure you're increasing your calories. But this is where most guys start to get scared of, oh, if I start eating more, I'm gonna go back to how I was. But that's because most men only ever experience either losing weight and being lean or being overweight. They've never experienced eating more in a healthy way that allows them to keep in good shape without going back to being overweight or obese. But there's a way of doing it. So if you are scared of increasing your food, it's normal. Everyone has that. But think of it like this. You don't just wake up overnight fat. It happens through an accumulation of eating loads of different meals or loads of food over time and gaining weight slowly. It just doesn't happen like that. And it won't happen if you follow this framework exactly. So this is what you need to do. We want to be able to increase your calories to something called maintenance calories. Maintenance calories is basically the amount of calories you need just to maintain your body weight. Simple as that. Because when you've lost weight, you're eating a calorie deficit, you're eating less than what your body needs. What we need to do now to get rid of them side effects that you've been experiencing on the diet, to eat more food and just feel like a human again and just feel like you're not always eating morsels of food, we want to increase it to your maintenance calories. So you should see on the screen in a second. Right, back to it. So the screen that you're looking at here is my own personalized calorie calculator. This is where you'll be able to work out the exact calories you need for you and your lifestyle to maintain your body weight. If you want to download a free copy of this calorie calculator, you can do. All you need to do is go in the description, press the link, and you can download it for free, and you can do what I'm doing now or what I'm about to show you. So the first thing you need to do on the calorie calculator is put your weight in, put your height, put your age, put your gender. What that will do is give you something called a BMR number. Long story short, BMR basically means how many calories you burn each day if you did nothing but just lie in the bed or lie on the sofa all day and not move, and you just breathed. So for example, for my stats here, my height, my weight, my age, my BMR is 2,047 each day. That basically means I need to consume 2,000 calories a day just to maintain my weight if I didn't move whatsoever. But obviously I do move. I train, I go for walks, I coach, I'm moving about each day. So what we need to do now is work out something called your activity multiplier. This basically means how active you are on a day-to-day basis. On my own personalized calorie calculator, it's based off steps. So I'll press it here and you'll be able to see it says minimal, light, moderate, fair, very. So minimal is less than 5,000 steps a day, light is 5,000 to 7,500, moderate is 7.5 to 10, and then fair is 10 to 12.5, a lot is 12,500 plus, sorry. So all you need to do is know how many steps you do on average, Don't need to be pinpoint accurate, just know average, how many steps you do each day. Let's say for example, let's go off what I do. I do moderate, I do 7,500 to 10,000 a day. And then it's gonna give you your maintenance calories. And my maintenance calories are 3,172, which is perfect. I know I need to eat roughly 3,000 calories a day to maintain my weight. So I now know that if I eat 3,000 calories a day, I'll maintain my weight. So that means I can eat more tastier food, eat out on the weekend, and as long as I'm around that 3,000 mark, I'm just gonna maintain body weight and I'm not gonna lose or gain weight. So now you know the exact calories you need to eat to maintain your weight. You just wanna make sure you're having enough protein each day. So I would say, general rule of thumb for protein is 0.8 grams of protein to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So let's say you weigh 14 stone, that's around 200 pounds. You're going to need anywhere from, I'm not great at maths, anywhere from 180 to 200 grams of protein per day for you to maintain your body weight. So if you're hitting that number and you're having 3,000 calories a day, you can basically maintain your results without worrying about gaining fat or losing your abs or basically getting heavier. Now, the next thing I would do is, this is the way I do it personally, is I go on MyFitnessPal and then all I do is create a batch of meals that adds up to 3,000 calories in a day, and I just create the batch of meals that I'm gonna eat on average throughout the week. And here's the thing, a lot of people want variation with the diet, and that's okay, but really when you look at someone's diet, typically they eat the same 9 meals throughout the whole lifetime. It's a crazy statistic I heard the other week, it was the other month actually, that people eat on average, the same 9 meals throughout the whole life. Pretty mad. But all you wanna do is, if you want variation, go on MyFitnessPal, create meals that adds up to 3,000 calories, and then you've got a big batch of meals. So that means you don't need to track on MyFitnessPal every single day. I haven't used MyFitnessPal for over a year because I've got a batch of meals that I know if I eat these meals together, it's gonna add up to 3,000 calories. And then all I do throughout the week is eat them meals. If I want something a little bit different, to be fair, I don't even track it. I just replace it with one of the meals that I usually have. And as long as you do that, you're gonna maintain your weight. On top of that, I would also include 1 to 2 meals a week of whatever you wanted to eat. So if you're going out on the weekend to eat or you want a takeaway, just give yourself an allowance of 1 to 2 meals. I wouldn't bother tracking the calories of the meals, and that's the way I'd go about it, and that's worked perfectly for me and my clients. Now, this is super important because after you finish your diet, in the first couple of weeks, because you are eating more calories initially, and usually you're eating more carbs, you will naturally gain weight from your finishing weight of your diet. It's 100% normal. It's called a rebound. You get a little bit of a rebound because when you finish dieting, usually your carbs are very low. And then as soon as you start eating carbs again, carbs aren't bad for fat loss, by the way. All that happens is when you eat more carbs, naturally your body stores more water because that's what carbs do. So let's say you finish dieting and you are 13 stone bang on. In the first couple of weeks of eating more calories and going up to maintenance and eating more carbs, you gain roughly about 5 pounds. That's normal. Don't think that you're just going back to your old weight because that doesn't happen unless you just eat loads of junk. So after, I would say, the first week or two, that's when your weight will stabilize. So once your weight is stabilized, what I would then do is make sure you're weighing yourself 1 to 3 times a week, every single week. Why is this important? Some people say weighing yourself is obsessive. I don't agree with that whatsoever. Think of it like this. If you're trying to budget, you would look at how much money's coming in, how much money's going out, and you would track everything. And you'd also track how much you're spending. If you're just like buying things like blindly and you're not asked, you're probably not gonna budget to the best of your ability. Same with your weighing yourself. You just wanna keep note of it just to see how your weight's responding to the extra calories. So all I would do is, after the first couple of weeks, when your weight's stabilized and you've gained roughly 5 pounds and you know that's normal, all I would do is weigh myself 1 to 3 times a week. And then let's say you weigh yourself 3 times a week, take an average out of them 3 weigh-ins, and that will be your weight for that week. As long as your weight doesn't creep up more than, I would say, 4 pounds, you're golden. So let's say you finish your diet at 13 stone, after 2 weeks, you're 13 stone 5 after the initial rebound. As long as you're not going past 13 stone 9, you're all good. If you start to go up to 13 stone 10, 13 stone 11, you're eating slightly too much, or you're probably adding extra meals in on top of the meals you've already tracked to MyFitnessPal. All I would simply do is reduce your calories by 200 or take out one of the junk meals you're having per week. If you're bouncing around 13 stone 4 to 13 stone 9, you can literally be within that bandwidth and you're gonna look the exact same. And here's the thing, if you're happy with your results and you don't wanna get any bigger and you're happy with how lean you are, you can literally do this forever and just keep your results. You won't have to diet again, you won't have to eat more food to build muscle again, you can just maintain. And believe it or not, like, you don't always have to be working towards something. I think social media makes people believe you always have to be working towards a goal with your physique. You don't. Like, since I stopped bodybuilding, since I stopped powerlifting, I'll have moments within training where I might do a 12-week cut like I did last year. I might do 12 weeks of trying to gain weight and get a little more bigger. But I would say 80% of the year, I'm just training, I'm eating well, and I'm maintaining what I've got because I'm happy with that. I'm content with where I am. So if you feel content, that's okay. Don't feel bad for that. So step 2 is your training. So we've already covered your nutrition and what you need to do there. What we need to do now is go over your training. Now, for me personally, I still train 4 days a week, sometimes 5 days a week, but that's out of enjoyment because I enjoy training that amount. However, I could literally go down to 2 to 3 days per week and still maintain the results that I've got. So if you've been training in your program for 4 to 5 days per week, and you know you've got a busy schedule coming up and you're not able to stick to 4 to 5 days per week anymore, please don't feel guilty or feel like, oh my God, I'm not able to train that amount. I'm just gonna lose my progress. I'm gonna lose my muscle. I'm gonna gain fat. It just doesn't work like that. Like anything, there's principles that makes things work in the universe. And there's principles to how you can maintain muscle and build muscle. And like we said at the start of the video, to maintain muscle, it's a lot easier than to build new muscle. So this is what you can do to maintain the muscle that you've got by training less. Step 1, you wanna make sure that you're training each muscle 2 times per week. I explained in the other videos as part of the mini series that if you train each muscle 2 times per week, you're going to be stimulating something called protein synthesis. Protein synthesis is when your muscles will grow. So 2 times per week, so don't do chest Monday, back Tuesday, legs Wednesday, and wait till the following week to repeat that process. You will still get some results, but it's not optimal. Just make sure you're training each muscle 2 times per week. So now you know the principle is training each muscle 2 times per week. You can set up a training program where you're only literally training 2 days per week. How? Because you can literally do I need a new marker. Full body 2 times per week. That's all you need to do. And when I say full body, you're literally training your chest, back, arms, shoulders, legs in one session, and you repeat that process 2 times per week. And that will literally keep you all the results that you want. Now, if you want to train 3 times per week, you could do it where you do upper body once, lower body once, and then full body. But if you also told me, Christian, I'm not too bothered about my legs, I'm more concerned about my upper body, you could just literally do 1 upper body session, 1 upper session per week, and then 1 full body. Writing is still terrible. So you could do 1 upper session and 1 full body. So you've got a little bit more focus on your upper body session, and then in your full body, you're still training your legs. This will still maintain your results with your legs, by the way. So all you need to do is train 2 times per week. So now you know how many times a week you can train, either 2 times, 3 times, because you're covering that principle of training each muscle 2 times per week. The amount of sets that you need for each muscle group in each session, the amount of sets that you need for each muscle group across the week is a lot less than you need when you're trying to build muscle. So maintaining muscle, all you typically need is anywhere from 6 to 8 hard sets per muscle per week. And when I say hard sets, I mean close to failure. So when you do a set, on that last rep, you're either at failure or 1 rep away from failure, or maybe 2 reps away from failure. So that means that, I'm not gonna write on the board because the pen is running out. That means that on, let's say you do the upper body, full body split, on your upper body day, you can literally do 3 sets of flat bench press, And then on the full body day, you could do 3 sets of incline bench press and 2 sets of flat dumbbell fly. That's all you need to do to maintain the muscle that you've got. To build new muscle, you've got to do more than that typically. But to maintain, 3 sets of chest on Monday, and then roughly 5 sets of chest on the second session. So when you're setting your session up, all you need to do in your upper body could be 3 sets of flat bench press, it could be 3 sets of lat pull down, it could be 2 sets of some sort of single arm dumbbell row or bent over row. It could be any sort of row variation. It could be 3 sets of a lateral raise, 3 sets of a bicep curl, 3 sets of a tricep movement, and then on the full body session, you repeat the process, but you just put some legs in. Take you about an hour per session. That's 2 hours a week to maintain the results that you've got, rather than feeling like you've got to consistently stick to the training program that got you the initial results in the first place. If you want to download a free 2-day training program that will literally give you the exercises, the sets, the reps that you need to do, just press the link in the description and you can download it for free. The next step is, now you know you're training each muscle 2 times per week, you're doing 6 to 8 hard sets of each muscle throughout the week. The next thing you want to focus on, is your performance. What do I mean by performance? You want to make sure that your strength is maintaining week in, week out, give or take. So there might be a week where one weight you can do an extra rep with, and then the following week you do the same weight, but you get 1 rep less. That's okay, it's a little bit of variation. But as long as your strength is maintaining throughout the weeks, you're not gonna lose any muscle. So all I would do here is a logbook would come in handy, either pen and paper, or you can use an app on your phone where with each exercise, you'll note down the weight that you've lifted. And then if all you wanna do is maintain, because you're going through a busy period in your life, just repeat that weight next week. You don't even have to increase the weight, just repeat it. If you do that week in, week out, you'll maintain your results. So the reason why this principle works so well is if you're a busy guy and you know you've got things coming up in your life, whether that's work projects, social occasions, summertime, Christmas, whatever it may be, usually them time periods for people means that they completely fall off with the health and fitness because they don't feel like they've got the time. Well, what I've just described to you here just totally debunks that, because everyone has got at least 2 hours a week to do something. So all you need to do now is, if you're going through a busy period, you don't need to be worrying about sticking to a plan that's 4 to 5 days a week. All you need to do is do 2 training sessions a week, roughly an hour per session, and that will maintain everything that you've got. So it takes the pressure off you of having to be perfect with your training and your diet. So it takes the pressure off you. Instead of thinking you've got to train 4 to 5 days every single week, you can now literally just train 2 times a week, maintain your results, and then when life becomes a little bit more quiet again and you really want to push your physique and improve your physique, you can then increase the intensity by going up to 4 days a week, 5 days a week, improving your diet, etc. But if you do this will allow you to maintain stuff permanently. So guys, that is the last video of the mini series on how to drop 20 pounds of body fat, build muscle and feel more confident in your clothes. I hope you liked it. If you did, drop me a like, drop me a subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.